My wife's name was Sarbajit Sidhu, and we was married in 1997, April 1997. She was very honest, very beautiful, good mother, and very, very hard worker.
I remember her as being very warm, very caring, very open with other people.
My mother's name is Amarjeet Kaur Bal. I just remember her as my best friend, like the closest person to me and the strongest person I've ever known.
I respected her a lot. She was just one of those people you want to look up to, be like, oh, if I could be a little bit like her one day. My mom's name is Sukhvinder Kaur Punia. She was an honest, hardworking, caring person. And I feel like she's a golden heart person. The job she went to, it was her first day, going with a contractor to work in a greenhouse. My sister-in-law didn't want her to go, and they kind of had an argument.
I just gave up, okay, let her do. It's just a one-day thing, and I'm sure she's not going to work after that.
I basically understood that she went to work every day picking blueberries at around 6 or 7 in the morning, and she came home sometimes at 6 or 7 or even later than that.
ਠੇਕੇਦਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ ਜੀ, ਕੰਮ ਬਾਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬੜਾ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਗ੍ਰੀਨ ਹਾਊਸ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਇੱਧਰ ਚਲਾ ਵੈ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਕਿਤੇ ਫੁੱਲਾਂ ਫਲਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਸੀਗਾ। ਹਾਲੇ ਕੋਈ 3 ਦਿਨ ਹੀ ਗਏ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਬਾਹਲੀ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਹੋਈ, ਪਰ ਇੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਵੈਨ 'ਚ ਤੁੰਨ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਸਭ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਬਹਿ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਬਹਾ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ।
March 7, 2007, one labor contractor was driving farm workers to Hope or Chilliwack area. It was involved in a very bad accident.
Right from the beginning, it looked like a terrible crash, and it was. A van cartwheeled and then collided with a median on the Trans-Canada Highway in British Columbia. 3 people died. But another troubling fact turned this tragedy into something even more. There were 17 people in the van when it spun out of control.
Foremost among the questions for investigators is why were so many people crammed on board? Instead of proper seats with seat belts, the van appeared to have at least one bench made of wood.
I had a call from my brother-in-law. He told me that there's a big, huge accident on Sumas Way, and he said, I am scared if our parents were also involved in that van.
2 o'clock, we get a call from the police saying, come to MSA Hospital. We have all the names. We can tell where each of the family members are. So they took us into the room.
They hold us and they showed us the pictures of those 3 dead bodies.
The first picture was Mrs. Punia, I remembered. Second picture they showed was of my mother-in-law. My husband broke down and my sister-in-law just lost it. I didn't even know how to console them, because what do you do? What do you say to someone who's lost their mother?
ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਸਪੀਟਲ ਆਏ ਜੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਸੀ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਗਈ।
My dad, my husband, they all came from hospital. I saw their face like crying face, so I automatically realized my mom is gone.
I started getting a bit fearful of this feeling of like, what if I never see her again? And it wasn't until the day of the funeral that it actually hit me. I remember the open casket, and I was allowed to say goodbye.
That time was a very difficult time for me because my son was only 15 months old, and the daughter is only 3-year-old. She was 7-year-old. That was a very difficult time.
It feels like it could have been prevented, and I think that's what hurts more, that loss of life didn't need to happen, and my life would have been completely different.
She was very healthy and we were not prepared for this. Somebody is very healthy, gone to work and not coming back, and that's really painful.
I like to think that all British Columbians had this sort of gut feeling or something that, oh my God, how did this happen again? Don't forget, this has been happening for 25 years. This wasn't a new event, these were bad vans taking people to work in the fields. And that to me said, okay, big problem here that we have to collectively solve, because we're going to continue going to funerals of people going to work in coffins with wheels on them instead of safe vans, safe buses that take them to work.
Police investigation, they found out that driver was very negligent. The van was not properly inspected. They didn't have proper seating and seat belts. And they recommended several criminal charges against that company and the driver, but they were not accepted by the Crown Council.
And it created a real issue within the industry and within WCB. So there was a big focus put on agriculture and the requirement for people working on the health and safety side, like WCB and FARSHA, to be able to respond.
After that, we had spent quite a bit of time going around to the actual contractors about what they're doing so far as health and safety of the people that they're actually sending out to these various jobs in agriculture. So transportation was a big item at the time, and there was a coroner's inquest actually that came out of that as well. The primary recommendation was actually forming a team between the Ministry of Highways, the RCMP, and WorkSafeBC to do van inspections.
So as time passed after the tragedy, we really began to realize that we needed something permanent. Not just to remember these three women, but to remember the fact that people were going every day to the fields to pick food for us to eat in British Columbia. So we decided that what could be more appropriate than a monument.
We were planning on just having maybe a small plaque at City Hall with their names on it, but just this idea of a great big tree came along. And it was basically these three women as branches of the tree, and one of them was the face of my mom, and the other two women that lost their lives.
His name is Golden Tree. It's 24 feet high apple tree. This is represent to the whole worker community.
ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਟਰੀ ਦੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਧੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਨਸਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਚੇਤੇ ਰੱਖਣਗੇ, ਬਾਲ ਬੱਚੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਪੂਨੀਆ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਸੀਗਾ.
So when I feel like want to go, I took my kids and go over there. I feel relaxed when I go there. It's a beautiful memorial. Somewhere we can go to kind of feel like, okay, we're with her here, she's with us here, she's watching over us.
Finally, we have a place where we can go every year on a candlelight and remember our loved ones.
ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਫੈਮਲੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਲਿਖੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਪੂਨੀਆ ਐਂਡ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ, ਸਿੱਧੂ ਐਂਡ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ, ਬੱਲ ਐਂਡ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ. ਬੋਰਡ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਪੱਕਾ ਜੀ ਗੋਲਡਨ ਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਕੋਲੇ.
We wanted to remember them as human beings, beautiful people, mothers, sisters, daughters, who died going to work and didn't need to, as an inspiration to the rest of us to keep up the fight, to make sure everybody has the right to go to work and no one ends up like them and their families.
People need to stop taking other people's lives for granted, especially people that go out and work very hard for the money that they earn.
I think safety is the first rule. The contractors or the employer needs to have a safe place for the farm workers.
ਹੁਣ ਬੈਂਚ ਕੋਈ ਵੱਧ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਹਾ ਸਕਦਾ. ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਬਿਠਾਏ ਗਏ, ਚਲੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਤਾਂ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ, ਗਾਂਵ ਤਾਂ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ.
There's no doubt as I sit here today that in terms of those vans going to work today, those vans are safer. And collectively as a society, we have to make sure that it's unacceptable to risk people's lives to be in business.
We must continue to advocate for safety for all workers. Otherwise, one by one, we will lose it.